conversations with the world's top drummers in the most extreme genres. This episode is brought to you by Los Cabos Drumsticks, Canada's #1 choice for drumsticks. They provide the wood you need to make the beats you deserve. Los Cabos Drumsticks. Now with your host, Corey Hopping.
Hello and welcome to episode 79 of the We're Talking Drums podcast. We are back. Sorry for the extended vacation from the podcast. I was on tour in North America. We did a 6-week run. My band Lotharo was out with Raven, Vicious Rumors, and Wicked. We had a wicked good time on the road. It was awesome getting to meet so many amazing fans, supporting our new record, Chasing Euphoria, which you could pick up now. But I am back home for at least a few months, and these episodes are going to be coming at you. I got so many awesome guests lined up, and I got so many awesome podcasts to put out to you. So we're going to get the ball rolling. Before we get into this week's episode, I am very excited to announce to everybody I will be doing my first drum clinic on May 22nd, so Wednesday, at Long and McQuaid, Burlington. This is hosted by Mapex Drums and Long and McQuaid Canada, and also through Los Cabos Drumsticks and Evans Drumhead. So there will be prizes, there will be giveaways from all three of those companies. That's Evans, Los Cabos, and Mapex Drums. You can sign up to reserve your seat today. I will put the email in the show notes. You can email the wonderful Chris Steed at Long McQuaid Burlington. Reserve your seat. You can also show up just day of. It's 7 p.m. May 22nd. That's Wednesday, May 22nd. That's 7 p.m. Come out. I'm going to be talking a lot about double bass drumming, touring, recording metal drums, and so much more. You can ask all kinds of questions, and I will be performing several songs from my bands. So very excited to dive into the clinic realm and hope to do many more in the future. So, all of that being said, we actually talk about doing clinics in this episode. This has been a long time coming. All of you have asked about this for many years now, pretty much since I started doing this podcast. You've wanted to know about endorsements, how to get endorsed, how to endorse a company, how to get into that world and that network. So I have brought on my Mapex Drums Canada artist rep, Craig Toutant, to talk about that very thing. We had a wonderful conversation. Hopefully it answers all of your questions. And if you have any more, please don't hesitate to email me or message me on our Instagram. If you haven't already, go give us a follow. It's at We're Talking Drums on our Facebook page, or just message me directly, and I will either answer it or I will pass it along to Craig, and we can get all of the answers you are looking for. Also, if you want to ask some questions and you're in Southern Ontario, May 22nd, you can ask me and Craig, he will be present, about all of your drum endorsements or drum in general questions at my clinic, May 22nd, 7 p.m. Burlington, Long and McQuaid. Anyways, without further ado, I'm going to keep this as short as possible. Here is my conversation in episode 79 of the podcast with Mapex Canada artist rep Craig Toutant. Craig, how you doing today, buddy?
Not too shabby, brother. Thanks for having me on.
It's a pleasure. We've been trying to do this for a long time.
Yeah, pretty much almost since we met.
I think so, right? Yeah, because
2+ years now.
Yeah, we get questions all the time through the podcast, me personally, everything about becoming a part of a drum company, or like I am also with Los Cabos Drumsticks,
Yep.
and kind of what that process is like and stuff. So I figured, why not have the guy behind all this, the artist,
one of the guys.
Yeah. Anyways, kind of come on and we can talk about the process, what it's like, everything that goes on kind of behind the scenes. Because a lot of guys just are so in the dark about what it means to be a part of a drum company team and be an endorsee of them and everything like that. Before we jump into all of that, though, let's get a little bit of background on you and how you got started playing the drums. You are a drummer as well. It's not like you're just, you're just representing the brand, but you play drums
Drummer
as well.
First and foremost.
Yes, absolutely. So how did you get started playing, and what were your formative years like behind the kit?
So, I guess, simply put, my dad was in a band. He played in a country band, was the front man, and sang in bands. And really, like, I think a lot of kids, you just see your parent doing it, and you're like, well, I'm going to do that too. So I was originally I'm a guitar nerd. I do love guitars, and I can talk just as much about guitar stuff as I can drums. But at a really young age, I'm going to say 5, I want to play guitar. So like a lot of parents, they got me this little guitar, and then I was like, clang, clang, clang. How does it work? And my dad and my mom were like, well, you got to learn. It takes time. It's, and of course, like all kids, I had no patience. I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But like most people, though, I always loved guitar, but like most people, when you see a band, I think the first thing you look at is the lead singer, generally, and then the next person you check out is the drummer. Yeah. Everybody loves the drums, right? So I was attracted to drums right from day one, just as much. So, and drums just came easy. Like I got a pair of sticks and I had rhythm. I'd play on my pillows and stuff, like most of us start off.
Of course.
And then I guess I was 7. And my cousin, Ed Belsey, I owe a lot to him. He gave me a hand-me-down, crummy little beat-up junior kit, and I banged away on that for a few years until it literally fell apart. Like the tom mount on the bass drum, like the bass drum basically caved in, and everything just imploded. That's
Wow.
How crappy this kit was. Yeah. So basically got my first kit at age 7, long story short, and just was, devoted to playing. And I self-taught. I don't like to use that word because some people say self-taught almost as bragging rights. Like, I'm self-taught. It's like, I'm not proud of it.
I'm the same way. I'm definitely not proud of it. I've taken 2 lessons now with 2 drummers that are like friends of mine.
Yeah.
But like, they're teachers as well.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I could definitely learn a thing or two from them.
I always jokingly say, like, one of these days I'm going to learn how to play the drums.
Yeah, right?
you know? But I don't know, man. I literally, I'm 47 years old, and I was in 1983. I was 7, and ZZ Top Eliminator came out, and I was blown away with the videos. Video culture hit hard, much music. So I'm seeing these ZZ Top, these bearded dudes with all these beautiful women and this hot old car, and I was turned on by it. So I got ZZ Top Eliminator, and I basically learned how to play drums by playing along to that, which is pretty straightforward 4-on-the-floor rock beats.
Yeah.
And to this day, that's pretty much all I got. I always jokingly just, if somebody compliments me, I say thank you. And truth be told, I just count to 4 and start over.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
So just basically playing along to records and just dove into rock and roll. I remember I discovered Rush when I was in grade 9 and just went through Neil Peart worshiping phase, like a lot of us do.
Most of us have,
And,
yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
played along to his, like, quite frankly, learning Tom Sawyer, like studying that song and learning how to play that song. My drumming went from here to here, you know,
Yeah.
and that helped a lot. Yeah, just basically, I got where I am by just playing along to records, and started playing in bands as a teenager and just never looked back. So it's just spent most of my 20s like doing van tours, like sleeping on floors and rocking out town to town. And you know, the big money payoff never came in, but as far as all of the other awesome things that go along with being in a touring band, I got to experience it all, and I wouldn't change a thing, that's for sure. And then, you know, I guess I was about 29, kind of decided no more sleeping on floors and sleeping in vans. I'm going to,
That's usually when that happens.
Right,
Around the 30
around-
mark, you're
yeah,
like,
right?
I don't know if my back can take it
well, and
anymore.
like, and I, you know, got married and she was supportive and all, but still it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, you know. So yeah, basically at that point, I more or less, there's no way I'm ever going to stop playing, but it's definitely more local.
Yeah.
And that was all doing original bands, and I still play in original bands. My buddy Matthew Holtby, we've been putting out music together for almost 20 years. But I took on the cover band thing, so I do a ton of cover band work with my cover band, the Spitfire Kings. Super fun band, great players, zero drama. That's what I love about that band. Just nice guys, decent gigs, just zero drama. It's awesome. So I really dig doing the cover band thing with them. And then, so yeah, between the Spitfire Kings and Matthew Holtby, I've got the cover band thing going on. I've got the original band thing going on, and I'm out gigging almost every weekend. And then, and then working here Monday to Friday. Most of my days I'm in the office here, but when I'm not in the office, I get to go out and do drum clinic events and store visits and traveling and stuff like that. So that's kind of my life these days.
Yeah. And that's the cool thing. And we're working on some clinics. So we're
Yeah.
going to be hanging out.
Yep.
In
May is drum month, so there's
Yeah.
always drum clinics every May, and yeah, getting you out to do some. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Hasn't been announced yet, but
Yeah,
it will be.
there will be
It will
some going
There will
on.
be announcements. It's going to be a
Stay
lot of fun.
tuned.
Yeah. I'm excited. And yeah, that's a cool thing going back to like your cover band about the drama.
Yeah,
That's the one thing when you're doing a lot of like original music and you're a band and you're grinding hard and everything like that. There always seems to be some kind of drama in
There's
there to
always-
a degree.
there's
It
always
it doesn't matter
something.
how if you're best friends,
Yeah.
whatever. Even if like when you're home everything's fine, you get on the road, you have a hard time. Like there's always fighting back and forth, and
Oh, yeah.
it's going to happen.
Yep.
But it's how you work through that,
Yep.
and you come out better on the other side. And some bands just can't get past it,
Yep.
and then members start falling off left and right.
yeah. You have to be extremely open-minded. You have to be extremely accepting of other people's behaviors, basically, and just how they. I mean, if somebody goes off the deep end, that's not cool. But
Yeah.
you know, yeah, like somebody at least once every day is going to say something annoying or piss you off somehow.
Of course.
And you just got to figure out how to let it slide, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I remember the first major tour I ever went on, we basically fired the rhythm guitar player as soon as we got home, because you live in a van with somebody for a month, you really find out who they are.
Oh yeah,
And,
definitely.
and
right?
at that it's that kind of had to be done. We patched things up later on, which is great, but no, it's all part of the game. You know?
Yeah.
It's, but yeah, like I say, with the guys I'm with now, it's I just thank my lucky stars that there's just no crap. Everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
No delusions. We're just having fun with it and progressing. So yeah,
Definitely the older you get as well,
Oh, yeah.
the less time you have for it.
absolutely.
Right. So everyone's just like, as soon as something might come up that might cause an argument, they're like, forget it.
Yeah.
This is not worth
It's
any
not
more
worth
time.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's just not worth it. I know, like in the cover band, probably the only thing that ever makes me even sniff at an eye roll is like a fellow band member might suggest like, oh, let's play this song. And I'll be like, oh my God,
Like,
I don't like
oh,
that song.
yeah.
But it's like, then I thought, you know what? It's just a song. Like we're a cover band. It's a song. Play it, move on. Why put up a fuss and create something, bad? And it's just, yeah, I'll play that stupid song. Sure.
Yeah. Well, and like when you're in a band, all originals and stuff like that, like we always have a kind of democracy rule.
Sure.
Right. So if you say the hard part is right now there's only 4 members in
Right.
one of the bands. So if 2 members want one thing, 2 want the other, our session guitar player has to kind of come in and be the decider.
Yeah.
But that's just how we've always kind of functioned,
Yep.
as a band, and you kind of just have to roll with it.
Yeah.
Like if 3 out of 5 want to do this, then you just do it and you don't complain.
And
And
choose your battles, as they say.
That's it.
Like
too, right?
again, when I was younger, in like I said, original bands all throughout my 20s, and there were moments where I guess I would maybe overstep bounds, or I'd get crusty on something that I shouldn't have and ruined the whole mood. And
Yeah.
it's like, as you get older, you realize, like you said, there's always a democracy. But if there's something that you feel very passionate about, it's like,
Of
guys,
course, yeah.
I'm putting my foot down here. We can't have that, whatever, bass line or drum beat, whatever, you know. Sometimes you just got to put your foot down, and then other times you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna let it go. If I put my foot down, they're gonna be pissed off because I just put my foot down yesterday about some other topic. And it's like, how many, you can't always get your way.
No,
And it's
you can't. That's just the way that it goes, right?
Yeah. And it's just choosing battles and just moving forward. My thing is and again, as I got older, it's all about thinking what's on behalf of the band, not myself.
Right. Of course.
Like it's like, I don't know, it's all about moving the band forward. And when I was younger too, even as a drummer, I don't know if I know a lot of drummers can kind of attest to this. When you're young, I used to think selfishly, and it's like, okay, I'm playing a show and I'm going to kick ass and basically show off. And everyone that's here, when they leave, they're going to say, man, that guy's such an awesome drummer. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized, no, when people leave your show, you want them to say, oh my God, what an awesome band.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't care if they think I'm a good drummer or not. I want them to like the band, So I start thinking a lot more, I guess, team oriented, if you will, and band oriented. And then you start to realize the whole concept of, like when not to overplay, you know what I mean? Some young drummers, they'll think it's wise to overplay and maybe do some fancy fills because they want to show off their skills, but meanwhile they're kaifing on the tunes and it's not working, right?
Yeah.
You have to know when and what to play. Now, of course, most of the music that I'm playing is pretty straightforward. Like I say, I count to 4 and start over.
Yeah.
It's just pretty much pocket drumming. But again, like, you have to choose your fills wisely. So, and that's in the original band and in the cover band, especially in the cover band. Like, a rock bar band doing like a CCR number and the drummer's going ham. It's like,
it just doesn't really work.
Like, come on. Like, so it's that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And the same thing like applies for what I'm playing as well, like in the metal world and everything. You don't want to overplay. You don't want to take focus away from
the
other
vocal,
particularly particularly. I definitely tend to do that upon occasion.
Sure.
Because I also got to a point where I was just like, I'm not going to necessarily focus and beat myself up on playing everything perfect.
Right.
All the hard work, all the practice that I've done, everything led up to this point, and now like I want to have fun on stage playing these songs.
Yeah.
I know these songs. I'm confident in my playing. I know I can perform them, but I want to be having fun.
Yeah.
That's why I do this.
Absolutely.
We're not getting paid a lot of money or anything like that, and then I feel like when we're having fun, the crowd's having fun.
No doubt about it.
And at the end of the day, this is we're in the entertainment industry, you know, in the business.
Yeah.
So like they're coming out to have a really good night and see a really good band. And we want to put that out there of like that positive energy. We're having a lot of fun. Have fun with us, you know,
No
like
doubt.
all of that. So I'm just in that mindset of like, I want to have a fun time on stage.
Yeah.
And sometimes I get carried away. Sometimes drums are just too much fun, and I'm in my own little world back there, and I lose sight of like the big picture, and then I gotta like refocus after that show and be like, okay, no, everything, you know, it's all about the whole band coming across in a way for the audience. It's not just me,
For sure.
you know.
It's funny that, like, you know, being a non-metal guy, like, again, I'm more or less just a Ringo timekeeping guy. And for all your metal fans watching, I hope that's cool. You know, he's got a non-metal guy on for once. But
I've had a couple,
I
but
know.
recently it's been like a lot of
mostly metal
discussions
players.
about
Fair
blast
enough.
beats.
It's,
So,
it's all good. But it's funny, like you're talking about when sometimes you'll cut loose and overplay. So from my eyes, that's like insane, because even for just a standard keeping it simple for you, for me would be considered a solo.
Yeah.
With all the double kick going on and stuff. So
Yeah.
I've always been so impressed with you metal drummers. I don't know how the hell you do it, or like just the fast punk, like SoCal chicken step punk beats and stuff.
Yeah,
And like
the D beats.
these, oh my
yeah.
God. And these guys are just maintaining that for an hour straight. Like I'd be dead.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Meanwhile, we're like, man, how do you play
So simply,
so
yeah.
simple
Yeah.
and like at like that slower tempo
And
and,
to keep it,
everything,
right?
and just keep it solid.
Yeah.
Because like I play to a click track, and I don't think I could play live without a click
Without-
anymore.
right.
Like
Yeah.
I really like lean on it.
Right.
To keep in time. If my click goes out, like and I don't have anything to
Yeah.
keep me in time,
Keep you
like
there,
my BPMs would be all over the
Well,
place.
you're
You know?
the greatest timekeeper on the planet, and you name whoever you want to name. There's no such thing as perfect. Like they're gonna waver, right?
Even on a click, I use it as a guide
Sure,
too,
of course.
right? Because you want a push and pull to everything, right? It creates that energy, and you can use it to create tension and all of that stuff, right?
For me, I don't play to a click live. I'm not opposed to it. In the cover band, they don't want me to. I was like, because they
That
just
makes
like
sense,
they just like the looseness of it. But yeah, I just my biggest thing is if I see a video or I'll hear a live track of my playing and I'm playing too fast. That's what I hate. Playing too fast. And most drummers, most live situations, not to a click, is they're jacked. You're pumped and you're gonna play faster.
Yeah, the adrenaline. Like,
And and as soon as you play too fast, things get sloppy. You know, the singer is trying to spit words out because the song's too quick.
Yeah.
So I always try to just take a breath, keep it slow, and try not to waver. But again, you're your own biggest critic, right? So I'll see a video and like everyone else it's perfect, and for me it's like, oh, I rushed a little bit there, and this, and you're always picking yourself apart a little more.
Oh, of
but
course.
but yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm on the fence. Like I love playing to a click. I love the looseness of not. It's either way, but yeah, I don't know. It's always a battle trying to play the right part and execute it properly. It's like,
That's it. And like you said too, there's no such thing as perfect. Like
No.
again, this is art.
Yep.
You know,
Absolutely.
that's what we're doing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's 4, 5, 6 guys getting together, or people getting together and making music.
Yeah.
And it's not supposed to be perfect.
No.
That's kind of the point of it, is that it's
perfect,
not
or
perfect.
not, I'm going to do it until I can't anymore. So
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
It's in me. It's in us.
Yeah, it's just you can't stop. Like I find even if I take a break from playing drums, it changes my mental state.
Yeah. No, for
You
sure.
know, and
you feel a little lost almost. Hey, It's like,
I start losing focus. I'm like, I just wake up and I'm like, I don't feel
What am I doing?
right. And then I spend an hour or two on the kit, and I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah.
like there it is. Like I
Yeah.
feel so much better. Just
Yeah.
I don't know if it's getting out a little bit of aggression,
Sure.
or
all
like
of it.
just needing that like exercise.
Yep.
And
Yeah, you build up a sweat. It's a great way for exercise. I always say like the only exercise I get is when I play drums or cough.
or golf. That's it. That's it.
But yeah, thank God for that. I got my drum kit to keep me in shape.
Yeah. As we sit there,
Yeah.
Yeah. At least the rest of the guys in my band get to run around
Yeah,
on stage,
exactly.
get a little bit
No
cardio.
doubt.
I'm just sitting there. This gut just keeps getting
Oh,
bigger.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
But yeah, so like, and just back to my story, when I settled down, started working for Long and McQuaid, and I kind of always jokingly said, Long and McQuaid is where musicians' careers go to die.
Yeah.
But in truth, I don't regret a thing. I love it. I love the company, and I work for Yorkville now, which is a sister company to Long and McQuaid. But yeah, it's like, so now I'm not touring and doing that anymore, but I'm still in the industry. That's kind of the cool part about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I worked for Long McQuaid for a long time, like 17 years or so, and then switched over here to Yorkville. It's been about 2.5 years now. And yeah, it's great. So like I say, generally speaking, Monday to Friday, I'm working here, looking after all the Mapex stuff, as well as Yorkville's accessories, like all the mic stands and all the cables. I look after Hosa brand. So I've got lots of stuff going on during the day here, and then I'm gigging on the weekends and recording and playing live and doing all that. And like I say, the cool part about my day job, of course, is the coolest part of my day job is dealing with guys like you and doing the Mapex side of things.
Yeah.
So that's the cool stuff. And like I say, I get to travel around the country, and I'll do dealer visits and talk about the brand, and I'll do clinic events again all throughout the month of May. Like you said, the ones with yourself, Mapex artists, Dixon Benjamin's got a couple coming up. Cameron Fleury's got a couple coming up. Christian Tana's got a few. And yeah, the Victoria Drum Fest is happening in May 26th. On a Sunday, May 26th is Victoria Drum Fest. And it's not 100% confirmed, so I shan't say, but there's a U.S. artist that I'm hoping to bring up and perform at the festival in Victoria, do some clinics based around that event. So pretty much every May I'm on the road, and my cat forgets who I am, unfortunately. But yeah, it's a cool gig.
Yeah, I'm very thankful that I am home for most of May this year, because last year my touring was like all of May and all of October.
Yeah.
So we weren't able to
Those are pretty much the two biggest clinic months.
Right?
More or less.
Yeah, I'm really glad that we get to start doing these clinics, and
sure.
I start to dip my toes into those waters. It's
man.
something I've wanted to do for a while.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm glad you kind of like pushed me into it too.
Oh yeah, man.
So.
No, I love the clinic thing. Working at Long and McQuaid for so long, I got to present and host clinics with Hall of Famers left, right, and center. Like my first one was Kenny Aronoff, but I mean, you name it, like, Benny Greb and Jojo Mayer and Tony Royster Jr. and Chester Thompson and Dennis Chambers and Todd Sukerman, and I got to meet all these guys and host clinic events for them, and so it's really cool. And that's the funny thing, like with guys on my roster, people like yourself, it's like, hey, you should think about doing clinics. And naturally the response is a little bit nervous. Well, I don't really know what to do. Yeah. And it's like, well, it's, there's really not much to it. It's pretty much just, the thing with drums is there's a fellowship to drumming, right? Like here we are broing out, like all drummers have that in common. And it's such an interesting thing, more so I find than other instruments. Like there are some guitar clinics and there are some bass clinics, but it's not the same. Like there's a fellowship to drumming, and it's just this interesting thing that we all dig. And like, it can, if there's a drum clinic going on, even if it's not like a super well-known famous player, drummers will still show up to check it out. It's like, oh, I don't know, your event, some guy might see the poster and say, oh, I'm not sure who Corey Huffing is, but I'm gonna go anyway because it's drums. Yeah. And I'm sure that they're going to have a good time with it. So that's the thing. I love the drum clinics. So yeah, I definitely want to keep that going and try to get as many as my artists out there working as much as possible.
Yeah, it is really cool because you are bringing these younger artists and stuff like that, like myself, not that young in age, but as far as like playing for Mapex and everything, and not doing clinics. and kind of like pushing us out there.
For
You
sure.
know, being like, come on, no, it's fine.
Yep.
Don't be scared or
No,
nervous or anything.
have
Just
fun with
like
it.
have fun with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you'll see, man, like the best part about it, I think, is the kids. Like you'll see it, like there'll be kids and they'll be just wide-eyed checking you out.
Yeah.
And like chances are they're hooked. You know?
Yeah.
It's like any it's like hawking an addictive substance. It's like get them young, right? Like,
get them young. Absolutely.
But it's true though, man. Like, because I'm sure you were. It's like that's how it was for me. I'm sure that's how it is for you. When you're a kid, you saw a band or you heard some music or something inspired you, and away you go, and you're hooked, right?
That was it. Yeah.
That was the coolest thing. There's a female artist on our roster, Zoe McMillan, and she did a few clinics for us last year, and I think we were in North Bay. And sure enough, like this young boy, he might have been 8 or 10 years old after the clinic, came up to Zoe and said, I want to be you when I grow up. And I'm like, that's the coolest thing right there, man. Like
that's awesome.
The kid is hooked. You can clearly tell, they're a lifer. And 'cause that's the thing. When you get bit by the bug, it's game over.
Yeah, that's it. And like I have always kind of like wanted to do the like teaching and getting the younger generation involved and stuff, but because I'm like a touring drummer as well, I'm playing so many projects, it's hard to like fit that in, and I don't want to be teaching. I've heard other touring guys as well who were teachers, and then once they started touring, they're like, it's so hard to walk away for a month, 2 months at a time, and you're just leaving this kid sitting there. You know, you want to make sure that you are there for them all the time. Like that is your main focus, is teaching the young. So I guess in doing these clinics, it's kind of a way for me to do this without the full, I guess, commitment of like being there step by step and teaching people, but just having the inspiration for a younger generation or even older and people my age to like, just like keep at it and all that stuff, and kind of show them the style that I've kind of built up over the last 2 decades of playing and the different bands that I've played in and stuff. So.
Yeah, I can see that being an issue for touring drummers that teach as well. But I mean, there's also kind of a cool factor too, where your student is like, yeah, it's a bummer that I won't see you for 2 months, but I can brag to my friends that my instructor is out on tour, it's like, so like there's like some validation there, like, oh, this guy must be good.
Yeah, it's cool for them, but at the end of the day, it's not going to make them a better drummer.
No,
so
but if as long as they're still practicing and rocking out while you're gone, but and it's funny on the flip side of that, talking about getting kids into it, and on the another amazing thing that happened once when I was working at the Pickering Long and McQuaid. This woman in her 70s comes up to the counter and she's like, I've always wanted to play drums. I'm retired and now's the time. So she's like, you're going to sell me a drum kit and I'm going to get signed up for lessons upstairs. And I was just like, amazing. It's never too late. It's cool to get in young, but it's never too late either. And that's the cool thing too. There's so many adults out there that think, oh, I'd love to do that, but this and that. Just go do it, and there's nothing like banging away in a set of drums. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's really not like I've said this so many times on the podcast, but drums are by far the most fun instrument.
Absolutely,
like
there's no doubt,
because you can just at any age you can just pick up a set of sticks, start hitting stuff. And it's fun.
Absolutely.
Playing a guitar isn't fun until you kind of know what you're doing.
Yeah. Drums are fun right away.
Immediately.
Right away. Yeah.
And then you're like, okay.
Even if you suck.
Yeah. Even if you suck, it's still fun.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then you start getting better at it. And then it gets to be more of a process and you start to understand the instrument better. But it's fun from the get-go.
Oh, yeah. No, it's very true. For sure. Like I said, everybody loves the drums. I don't think if you find somebody that claims that they're not interested to play or they don't wish they could play, I think they're lying. Like I've had so many people say to me, God, like I wish I could just sit down and play a beat. Like, oh, it's so like people are just excited by the instrument.
Here's the sticks.
Yeah, exactly. Go for it.
Go for it.
Oh no, I can't. No,
you can
make noise. Just go.
That's it. And eventually you will start to get that rhythm.
Yeah. Well, back when I was 7 and got my first kit playing along to ZZ Top, I'm going to guess, I don't know, I'm going to guess at least the first probably 6 months, my right foot didn't even move. Like I didn't have that coordination. It was just right. And then after a while, I'm like, well, this thing's here for a reason.
Yeah.
So kick, snare, kick, snare. Okay, you know. But yeah, it's just, again, like just starting off, it was just basically just farting around, making noise, having fun.
That's
and
it.
slowly but surely you put my mind to it. And again, like next thing you know, I'm playing a beat. And so yeah, it like I say, I got bit by the bug early, and it's been 40 years now.
Yeah. Well, I started off on other instruments before eventually I made my way to the drums.
Yeah.
Parents weren't too stoked when I said I wanted drums in the first place. So like, here's a guitar.
That's a point of contention.
Right.
When
And I get it. I understand it
Yeah.
100%. But once my band started jamming at the house and there's a drum kit there, I was
Right.
like, it's already here.
Nice.
I could start like playing on it.
Yeah.
And then I started playing drums in a band, and
That's cool.
it just went from there. But I already like, I played bass for years, played guitar. So like
Cool.
the rhythm was kind of already
Nice, yeah.
there.
That must have helped.
Yeah. Understand. I was a little older as well. I think I was like 17 or 18 when I started.
Yeah.
So like it was pretty, I had a good understanding of the instrument and what I wanted to do.
Right.
It was just the coordination of things that took a little bit of time.
Yeah.
You know?
No doubt.
But yeah,
That's
that was
cool.
it was a lot easier for me because I picked it up when I was a little older.
Right.
Not when I was like 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. When
That's
a lot of guys seem to start really young.
Yeah. I mean, well, yeah. I mean, again, it just all comes down to when you get bit by the bug.
That's it.
But whatever age you are, you get bit, and
that's it.
You're
done.
You're in.
Yeah. Oh, I always knew that I wanted to play drums since
Yeah.
I was probably like 10 or 11.
Right.
I think. Yeah.
That's cool.
Like Dave Grohl. Like,
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, Nirvana and Blink-182 was a huge Blink
heck
fan.
yeah.
So Travis Barker was like, he was the coolest guy.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
No, he definitely helped get a lot of sticks in a lot of kids' hands. There's no doubt about that. That's
Big
for
time,
damn
yeah.
sure. Yeah, that was, I mean, I was 16 when Nirvana hit, like, and all that whole scene. So it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, I was all over it. And, but yeah, and then shortly after Blink hit, and yeah, Travis Barker, talk about an influence. Again, working at Long and McQuaid all those years, I can't tell you how many pairs of white drumsticks I sold.
Right.
You know, Travis Barker signature sticks. So it's, you know, and like, whatever, say what you want about a music, maybe you don't like a band's music or this and that and the other thing, but if you're influencing people that much, that's can't be a bad thing, you know.
Right. There's not very many like legitimate famous celebrity drummers anymore.
Right.
Like he was one of the last ones. Like everybody knows who Travis Barker is.
Yep.
You know?
Well, that's why it was such a harsh hit when Taylor Hawkins died. It's like, man, like he was kind of like the biggest current guy. Like everybody knew him. You know what I mean? Like talking about like what you said, like as far as world famous drummers, like top rock star famous. So yeah, and again, look what Travis Barker's been through. Survived a plane crash, all that stuff, he's still kicking. He's
still
awesome.
going and like just as busy as ever.
Oh heck yeah!
Like he's always in the studio doing stuff and producing content like crazy. Yeah, guys working harder than he ever has.
Yeah,
you
I'd
know?
say so.
Yeah.
Always playing. And his I mean, I don't know if he's a bit older than me. He's about my age and not slowing down.
No.
Like I'd die.
Yeah. Right?
I could not play like that for more than a few minutes.
Yeah. Even at 36 now, I'm like, okay, I gotta start like slowing down or like taking care of myself a little better, you know? Yeah. Because the injuries they start to add up.
Yeah.
You know?
And again, you guys at the BPMs you're at, it's like, you need to think about that.
Yeah,
Make sure
exactly.
you can finish these tours. And
I'm like, okay, how many years do I have left of being able to play blast beats consistently on a tour?
Legit.
Right? But I see guys in their like 50s, mid 50s, going into their 60s, still still ripping.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, it's doable.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
doable.
the most powerful older guy that I can think of offhand is Tommy Aldridge.
Yeah.
Like that dude, I think he's 76 or something. Like he's in his 70s, and he was on Drumeo maybe last year. And it's like, look at the dude go. Like
Yeah.
that's seriously impressive. Of course, he's fit as all hell, and
Yeah.
like you say, he's focusing on his career and he's still doing it.
Yeah.
So that's an inspiration, that's for sure. He's still kicking it.
Yeah. Let's shift into endorsements.
Okay.
You know, because you're the man behind the artist representation for Mapex Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Mapex here in Canada.
Yeah.
Right. And we get guys asking all the time, like how do you get endorsed? Like, can you get me endorsed or like whatever? Like, how do I get free shit? Like, so I figured we might as well talk about what the best practices for if you want to endorse a drum company of sorts, how to kind of go about it, and how to maybe not go about it.
Yeah.
You know, like what's the best way to do it and what's the worst way? And maybe if you have some stories of some really bad situations, you know.
So far in my experience, I'd say there's been nothing like bad, you know.
Okay.
But
That's good, then.
yeah. You know, if anything, I would say how to get a deal. I would say, I mean, it is meeting people. It's all about relationships. Like we talked about that earlier before the podcast.
Yeah.
It's all about relationships and reciprocation and support, and it goes both ways. But if anything, generally, you know, people like me will come to you, not the other way around. Like
Right.
if you pitch yourself to a company, I'm not saying that isn't like if you pitch yourself to a company, there might be chances are you probably won't get the deal, but not because of that. It's not like pitching yourself to a company is a good thing. There's no doubt about it. You have to get on these people's radar.
Yeah.
But from my standpoint, it literally is like I do have people emailing me and pitching to me, and so I'll see somebody and I'll check out their socials and see how they're doing. And it's like, man, like that, you know, I could sign that person, this one. And then it's like, well, you know, I can't just sign everybody. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like that's really
right.
what it comes down to. So it's just like, I like to try to keep the roster sort of quality over quantity. And, it all just depends. Like I say, there's so many factors involved. And for me personally, you know, it's just about the fellowship, like I mentioned earlier, and just how into drumming is this person? How into the brand are they? You know, what are they doing? And just all these factors have to line up. And it's really just the whole thing about endorsements, of course, is it's all about eyes on the prize. Like a company wants to sell more gear. It doesn't matter what brand it is. The whole point is to sell gear. So it's like this artist is going to be able to get our brand in front of these many people, whether it's live playing in front of people, whether it's doing their online videos, whatever. It all has to add up to, you know, reach and how many people are into it and watching this person and this artist play. And hopefully they'll say, oh, Corey's an awesome drummer. He plays Mapex, so maybe I'll buy a Mapex kit. I mean, that's really what it's all about. We're trying to sell gear. But so for me, it's that I sort of just straddle that line of like, you know, it's not just about hawking gear. You know what I mean? Like, again, it's about the relationship, it's about the fellowship, and it's about the reciprocation. I want to help my artists as much as I possibly can. And hopefully they'll reciprocate on their end with promoting the brand, you know? And that's pretty much the gist of it. And then ultimately, it really just does come down to support. It's artist support. There's no money on the table. It's not like, you know, there's a some people are sort of misled thinking that an endorsed artist is getting paid to do it and that they get all their stuff for free, and that's not the case at all. They're not getting paid, and 99% of the time it's an artist cost deal. It's not for free. So it all just it just comes down to reciprocation, and if it works for both sides, and then keeping that relationship going, and again supporting them. So the beauty that of Mapex Canada is basically any Mapex artist in Canada has my full support. Like, what do you need? Where do you need it? How can I help you? I'll do everything I can to make sure you're good to go with your gear wherever you're playing. And like I say, in Canada, I'm proud of the way that I can take care of my roster. So that's pretty much the main thing, is just keeping them happy. And any issues, any warranty stuff, any issues whatsoever, I'm on it, and just keeping support for the roster.
Yeah, and I will say I feel very supported as a part of
Nice.
Mapex
I'm doing
Canada
my
team.
job.
So yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, and again, like as far as getting a deal, it's like, like I said, there's definitely some artists that I have on sort of the back burner that I think might be good to work with, but there's just so many artists that I would technically like to sign, but I'm not just signing everyone that comes my way. So and then if anything, I would say if you're interested in getting a deal and you contact me or any of my peers in the industry and other brands, other artist reps, if you contact them and they don't respond, or they respond with a no, don't take it harsh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many factors involved, and it's not because you're not good enough. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Don't take it that way. It's just, there's just a lot of factors involved that come with getting that, relationship solidified and getting signed.
That's what it comes down to as well. Because to just share the story of me becoming a part of the Mapex team, because it was before.
How did it
you
happen?
came
I
into
basically
it.
inherited a roster when Dave Lawrence moved on.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically, it was very strange. But I had a snare drum that was damaged from when I was on tour, and I got in contact with Dave. And I was like, hey, can I send you this? Can you take a look at it? See if there's any way that it can be fixed.
Right.
It was a Mapex Daisy Cutter.
Oh, yeah.
Steel snare.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it. And then so that was our first exchange. And then I heard back from him. He's like, yeah, sorry. Unfortunately, like, whatever happened to this, the shell is actually bent. Like,
Right.
there's nothing that we can really do for this. And I was like, okay, thank you for the time. By the way, like, this is who I am, what I'm up to, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, kind of just like told him who I was.
Yeah.
And then that was kind of the end of it.
Right.
And then I think it was maybe 3 or 4 months later, I get an email from him being like, hey, we have an opening on our roster. We'd love to bring you on board.
Cool.
And that was it. It was like
Nice.
out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So it was like a simple exchange of, between a drummer and him and the artist rep that meant nothing. Like,
Right.
I wasn't begging to
Right.
be on the team, anything like that, like, and at the time that I think I originally emailed, I think I only had like 2 Mapex snares.
Right.
And then after that, I had a full Mapex kit. And then after I got another one, and,
Cool.
a bunch more Mapex snares, all that. But it was just a simple email exchange.
Nice.
That kind of got me on his radar. And then we kind of grew our relationship from there. We had a couple talks on the phone after that.
Yep.
Before like we actually went through with everything.
Cool.
But yeah, like it was that simple.
Nice.
I have also had times, a lot more times where I have reached out, or I've even had like larger name drummers do introductory emails, which I was like, okay, this is the way to go.
Yeah.
You know, like, do an introductory email to these bigger companies. And I was like, this is a sure thing.
Yeah.
Not how it works.
Yeah.
They have a relationship with that person, and it is a good way to start, but you now have to build that relationship
For sure
with that person.
Yep.
You know, that networking still needs to come into play.
Yeah.
You know,
No doubt.
You know, just because they trust and love working with the one guy doesn't mean they're gonna trust and love working with you. So,
and again, there's just so many factors, you know, like and there's some times where it's like, you know, this is great, just not right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's just bad timing. But yeah, I mean, and the thing too, my coworker and I were just talking the other day about how like networking in Canada and just the whole like a-hole rock star doesn't really exist up here because it's just too small. Like basically everybody knows everybody, and you're not going to get ahead behaving like a dick.
No.
So it's like just keep the relationships going, and you know, keep the networking going, and good things will happen. You know what I mean? And
that's it.
Just like I said earlier, that kind of thing. It's almost just like bands like trying to get signed, or you know how, you know, we need management, we need booking agent, we need a label, we need all these things. And it's like, how does that happen? And it's like, well, just kick ass, and eventually they'll come to you.
They'll come to you.
That really kind of is.
Yeah. You keep growing, you keep talking to people and networking, and like just keep grinding, and it'll happen for you, because I get asked that all the time too.
Yeah.
How do you get signed?
How do you do it?
How do you do this? How do you do that? I was like, you know, in the instance of my first band getting signed, a lot of it had to do with us being in contact with a manager. And that was simply, I went to see a show in Toronto because it was a newly signed band from to Metal Blade Records.
Right.
And I was like, these guys are sick. It's their first time in Canada. I'm going to go and I'm going to be friends with them.
Cool.
Because I know they don't know anyone in the city.
Yeah.
They're opening, you know. And then that night, I was like, met every single one of them. We became buddies.
Cool.
There was a time that they needed a potential fill-in drummer, so they contacted me.
Nice.
That got me in touch with their management. So I stayed in contact there. Then their manager came on and started managing my band, which our relationship turned into us finally getting signed.
Nice.
You know, but it was simply,
all because you chose to go to a show one night.
because I decided to go to a show, and I was like, these guys are really sick, and I want to be friends with them.
Cool.
And we're still friends to this day. You know?
It's funny you say that. It just struck a memory. There's an older guy named Ed Pilling. He had a band back in the 70s called Flood, old Canadian classic rock band.
Yeah.
But exactly what you just said, he did that too, only it was Led Zeppelin.
Oh, wow.
Like the very first time Zeppelin ever played Toronto, he went to exact same thing. Like he went to the show, befriended the guys, and they're friends to this day.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and that's how that's literally networking. And a musician, like, again, it's a fellowship. Right off the bat, you've got something in common. You can talk about the gear, you can talk about gigs, there's just that camaraderie right away.
Being on the road, living in a van, you know, like you share that pain.
For sure. No doubt.
Yeah.
And then again, like, so maybe making that connection, that band now has a floor to sleep on whenever they come to town. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's all
Exactly.
about that kind of stuff, those connections. So yeah, there's no doubt that like networking, and again, like I said earlier, in Canada, I think it's just, you have to be friendly and pro. If you're a dick and you're abrasive with people, pretty good chance you're not going to get calls, and it's not going to work.
I think as far as like the metal world is concerned, anyways, there's no room for it across the board anymore.
Right.
It's not just Canada, it's like everywhere.
Right.
I'm starting to notice, like, anytime there's somebody who is an asshole or anything like that, it's well known, and nobody wants to work with them.
Right.
You know,
and would you say it's fairly rare that happens?
It's getting more and more
thankfully?
rare these days.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. Because people are starting to notice.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's no room
wants to-
for it. Everybody wants to work with people who are nice and friendly and caring.
And pro.
And and nobody wants to work with the egotistical asshole anymore.
No
Like,
doubt.
it's like, we don't have time for this.
Yeah.
Like, we just don't. Like, this
Absolutely.
industry is chaotic and crazy as it is, we don't have time for an egotistical asshole to like cause us all this stress. And no, I'd rather
I've
work
always
with the friendly,
joked, like,
nice guys.
all of the metal and punk musicians are always the nicest and kindest people I
Right?
find. You look like badasses, but you're actually just super friendly and cool.
We do that just so like no regular people want to come up and talk to us. Right? Yeah, we're all in like kind of introverts, so we don't want to talk to just regular people. It's only like if we have something in common, we have you know, something to discuss. Fine.
It's not, in a way that might be a good thing, because like, you know, just people can keep their distance, and people who know better are like, oh, he looks cool.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
I can tell I'll get along with him. He's a meddler.
Just don't come up and ask to touch my tattoos or something weird. Like, no.
Or play your drums.
Never asked to play my drums.
I don't mind people playing, but that's that classic thing. Oh, can I play your kit, man? I promise I'm good. And I'm like, I bet you're good. Sorry, bro. It's not happening tonight anyway.
I don't even like my band members playing my drums, you know? Like, and I like live with them, and they can do it anytime they want. Like, they have keys to the jam space, but you know, like, no.
I mean, for me, I don't mind. It's basically break it, you buy it. So, and like that crash is $400. That crash is $5. These drum heads, you know. So it's just like, if you're prepared to shell me out some dough if you break my gear. But I don't know. I don't mind gear sharing, but again, not the cymbals. Obviously, I can't.
No.
That's where you draw the line.
Yeah,
These
they're
things are
crazy.
too precious, too expensive.
Yeah, they can just crack out of nowhere too.
Yeah,
right.
Legit.
You don't even need to be doing anything crazy for it just to like start to crack, and then you're done.
It's just like, oh man, it's the worst. Cracking a cymbal's the worst.
And it always happens on the road.
No doubt.
Like,
absolutely.
Always.
Yeah. By the time you get home, it's like a chunk is missing out of your crash.
Yeah. That's the worst part too. Is certain companies have warranties on things.
Yep.
But only if it is cracked a certain amount.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be intact.
There can't be anything missing. There can't be a chunk missing.
Right.
Yeah. A crack is a crack, but like half the cymbal gone.
Yeah. Well, because I got home from a tour and I had to play on it. I had to, but then I get home and I'm like, now I have to buy a brand new cymbal, even though it was still under warranty. I'm like, great.
Yep.
So, but
these are the travails.
That's why I'm like, I need a cymbal.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, it's those little things that I'm just like, when I'm on the road, I need something to play on, right? This time around, I'm gonna bring a backup.
Right.
Backup crash. So if anything cracks, goes in the bag.
Always.
Yeah.
Always got to try and have backups. Most of us find out the hard way.
Yeah.
On that one.
Yeah. Well, I've found out multiple times.
Yeah.
Multiple tours where I've broken both my crashes.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah. I was even talking to a drummer last night that came through, and he's like, "Yeah, all my cymbals are breaking, all of them. I don't know what to do." Thinking like maybe like we could sign them and then sell them and kind of get a little
Offset.
bit reimbursed. And I was like, "It's a great idea, man.
Yeah, no
you
doubt.
know, like we do that on the road too, because it's a great like keepsake for the fans.
Oh, absolutely.
They absolutely love it.
Yeah.
You know, they can hang it on their wall. The whole band signs it. Like, this was used
Very cool
by the drummer, you know, like people love it. And it's original to that. There's only one of these. Right. You know, it's not mass produced in any way.
And like a cracked cymbal really is worth its weight in scrap at that point. Like you can't really sell it. Like I don't know, you might, but it's not. No drummer I know is gonna buy a cracked cymbal. No. So that's the hard part. So that's a good idea. That's a really good idea.
It's basically it's a keepsake for the fan. It's really legit. Cool. And like we've done it on some tours, and everybody's like more than willing to pay what we're asking.
Cool. That's awesome
for it. So it's like okay,
very cool,
awesome, and it helps us out greatly.
No doubt. Well,
like massively.
Every dollar counts. There's no doubt about that.
Oh yeah, big time.
That's
big
cool,
time, especially on the road. Oh my God,
no doubt.
Just trying to eat. It's like Waffle House. Here we go.
Yeah, like warming up grilled cheese sandwiches on the dashboard and the heater. Like any which way.
Yeah,
You can.
exactly. Use that sunlight and just heat up a sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how we do it, man. Yeah. I don't know. I think we have a pretty cool setup for this next tour.
Nice.
So yeah.
You guys are pretty experienced with it now. You've been doing it enough times.
Yeah, we have a whole new thing now though.
Okay.
We have a mini bus.
Okay.
That we've acquired.
Yeah.
And so we've actually built bunks.
Nice.
And like a small little like lounge area. It's tight.
Yeah.
It is tight.
But you make the best of it.
It's gonna be a more comfortable way to tour, I think, than in the van.
Yeah.
And the RV was nice, but so we were kind of trying to make it like a similar to the RV type of thing, but there's less of a kitchen thing in there. And like make sure we all have our own bunks to sleep in, because sleep is you get the least of it on tour, but you need to make sure that when you are sleeping that it is as quality as can be.
No doubt.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because like the last several tours, like we're just all exhausted all day long.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
So that was our big thing, is just making sure we're sleeping okay.
Right.
You know, comfortable at least when we're sleeping. We have our own little space, so we can always just go in our bunk and like hide from everybody for a little bit, you know? That's good. So I'll send you some pictures once it's all done and everything.
So who fit up the bus? All of yous, or is there like a carpenter in the band that did all, like, how did that go?
I will say it was not me.
Yeah.
I'll admit that.
All right.
I did not do any of that. I am fairly handy when it comes to that type of stuff, but it was just time, and like our guitar player and bass player kind of took care of that, and then they had a friend that is a carpenter, so everything was done very professionally. Made sure that it was installed solid, so it's not just gonna fall apart when we go over like a big bump or anything.
Exactly.
Because we've had that happen before.
Little oopsie.
It was not pretty. Falling through a bunk while driving in Poland.
Oh God.
Yeah, those roads are rough.
Yeah, no
those
doubt.
Roads are rough.
Some of those European tours can be nightmarish, like on the road, literally on the road.
Literally on the road. Like,
I haven't toured in Europe, but I've been to Ireland, and luckily we had a driver. I don't think I could ever drive on the other side of the road.
No, but I don't think I could either.
It's just like it's insane. Like, it's 2 lanes, but it's like 10 feet across, and you're doing pretty much 100, and it's just like zing, with like 6 inches between each car, and just like, oh my God, how do you? Luckily we had a driver.
Yeah,
there's no way that I could do it. That's so it's, again, the travails.
Yeah, we've the last several tours we've drove ourselves all around Europe, and it's difficult in the fact that every country has its own like kind of laws and everything. So once you enter a new country, you have to like kind of go in and see what their highway laws are like. Right. Because sometimes there's certain tolls for certain size vehicles, and we kind of got slammed for that because we just didn't know. Yeah. Right. And it's like you as the driver need to make sure you're doing it.
No doubt.
Like, it's not like they are telling you ahead of time or anything, because you could drive through 3 countries in a day.
I was just gonna say that.
Right. Like, so, and we're just passing through one country, not even stopping, just passing through to get to the next one. But we, apparently didn't pay the appropriate tolls or whatever, or didn't have the appropriate things. So we got a nice little fine from the Austrian highway patrol there. That was fun experience.
That AHP buggers.
Yeah, it's rough. All right, well, we're getting up here in time. That's well close to an hour.
Nice. Right on.
So, is there anything you want to add for any, I guess, like younger or established drummers out there, as far as endorsements go, or anything to do with Mapex as a company in general?
Well, again, back to the endorsement thing. Simply put, like just do your thing, work hard at it, put yourself out there. Let's be honest, social media is massive. So like the more video, the more content you can get out, more eyes on the prize. I'm not gonna lie, if somebody was to approach me and says, "Hey, I would love to play Mapex drums. Check out my socials," and they've got millions of views and massive cover, major numbers on their social media. Instantly, that's going to be a green flag. You know what I mean? Because like I said, it's all about eyes on the prize. But that's not to say that I would dismiss an artist that is in a smaller band doing smaller things. It all just comes down to how devoted are they. Are they in it for the long haul? There's just so many factors. But again, I definitely won't say don't email me, don't contact me and ask me to be signed. Keep doing that.
Yeah.
But just don't be discouraged or upset if it doesn't happen right away.
Yeah.
That's really it. But other than that, like we said, man, have fun. Like that is literally the whole point. I don't care who you are. You have to be having fun with it. I don't think there's too many artists out there that hate what they're doing but continue doing it just because the money is great. There's some of those people out there, I guess, that are in that situation, but most of us most definitely are not.
Definitely, yeah. It's not the money that keeps us doing what we're doing.
It's like, have fun, kick ass, put yourself out there and see what happens. I mean, that's, and the same thing goes with your band. Like that's all a band can do. I've seen bands, for instance, like I've seen bands that are great and they do their thing and it just didn't happen for them. And then I've seen other bands that did the exact same thing that other band did and it happened for them, and like, don't be discouraged if it doesn't happen for you. I'm at that point where it's like, Jay-Z said it, most of y'all won't make it. And it's just, but you just gotta, but you're not gonna make it unless you put yourself out there.
Yeah.
So just get yourself out there and do your thing, but have fun with it and just be real with it. And you know what? I mean, as silly as this sounds, like it'll either happen for you or it won't. There's no rhyme or reason to it,
But also, if you quit, then it definitely won't.
Oh yeah,
won't happen.
That's so Wayne Gretzky said you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Right.
So,
but if you give up, like if your dream is to be a professional musician of any sort, a drummer, guitar player, vocalist, a saxophone player,
sure,
and you're struggling, like just know that like literally
that's normal.
Everybody has struggled for years, and I've even been at certain points through my career where I was on the verge of giving up, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna keep going.
Yeah,
I'm going to, I'm gonna play for a different band and try to find like a different creative outlet to like rekindle my love for my instrument and everything. And I've had to go through that multiple different times just to get to this place, which is still a struggle.
Sure.
We're
always
touring
you're working
in
working it
in a bus that we had to build out ourselves, like, and we're, we don't make money on the road.
Right.
We barely keep enough, make enough for the band to keep going.
Yeah.
Right. So like, even at this point,
that to me is successful. Like if you can just continue being a band, period, that is success.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I had a long story short, I lost a gig and it was a shitty situation. The friendship was lost. I lost this gig and it went on to do some cool stuff, and it really kind of broke me and I gave up. I'm like, I'm done with this. I was heartbroken. Enough is enough. Screw this. And I think I went 3 months without touching drumsticks. And then I was right back in.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't not play.
Right.
So again, put myself back out there, got in a mindset of like, I gotta play. This is fun for me. I don't care what happens. Go with the flow. Just keep going. I don't know. And if it's not fun and you hate what you're doing, all right, I guess maybe give up. But
And I feel,
it ain't happening over here. I'll tell you that.
yeah. If you really like don't like what you're doing and you need to change your pace, go nuts.
Figure it
Have fun,
out.
you know,
Figure
and
it out.
that's great.
Yeah.
But if you want to do it and you're just like feel like it's never gonna happen, just stick it out. Just
Absolutely.
keep going. It's never gonna get easier. Like ever.
No.
It's always hard.
Oh,
and the more successful you get, the harder it gets. But you start to see more things start happening.
For
right.
sure.
And I feel like it's the same thing when it comes down to bringing it back to endorsements and being a part of a company. It's like if you approach a company like I feel like it should be a brand that you play and love. You shouldn't just be approaching a company like, hey, I want to play your stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like, no, you should want to be endorsing the company themselves, their product, because you love it and you want to like grow with the team, you know, and it is a give and take from both sides.
No doubt.
Right. You don't want to just approach, you know, like a big cymbal company but you're playing like
something else,
some other brand. Like, no, that's not a good first impression.
It's funny you say that because that's when reps will say, okay, this guy just thinks he's going to get something for free. Like
that's
just,
all you're looking
it's
for.
It's clearly not the case.
Right.
But
yeah,
you got to be happy about the gear you're playing. Obviously with Mapex, I mean, the whole thing is quality gear at a little more affordable price. Like that's what Mapex's pretty much mission statement is.
Yeah.
And funny enough, the first kit that I ever bought with my own money was in 1994. It was a Mapex Mars. Which was just a total fluke. That the first, not my first kit, but the first kit that I bought worked all summer long at a summer job, and so it's just kind of neat to go full circle. And the guy that I took over for, Dave Lawrence, we were buddies in high school. Like he remembers that kit, and I've known him for 30 years.
Yeah.
So that was neat too. Like taking over for his spot when he left the company. The position he kind of helped tee it up for me. Like he's like, I'm resigning, but you know, Toots is the guy.
Yeah.
And
that kind of brings it back to, you know, like you guys were friends. You guys,
exactly.
You know, you were super nice
there you go.
Like kept that networking going.
Yep.
And then when the time came for him to step down, this was, you know,
it
offered for you.
And that,
so
that totally goes back to what we were talking about earlier, man. It's all about just being pro and putting yourself out there, and stuff can happen. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. On that note, thank you for
Rock and
joining
roll,
me.
brother. Thanks, man.
It's been a pleasure having you on the We're Talking Drums podcast.
Right
so,
on.
we'll have to do it again.